Good morning. Welcome to my kitchen. This morning while I was preparing breakfast, my daughter said to me, "It's been a long time since you've made that special sesame bread that I love." And she's referring to specifically to the Jerusalem bread, or Quds as it's known in Arabic. And this is a special bread, and we do eat it at breakfast and all through the day, of course. So today I'm going to be making it. All good bread starts with flour, okay? And here I've got 3 cups of all-purpose flour. So that's the beginning. Now to my flour, I'm going to add in a sprinkle, 2 sprinkles of salt, okay? And then I'm going to put in what my mother used to put when she made this bread for us, and this is actually 2 spoons of dry milk powder. Okay, she said that it gave it a beautiful flavor and gave it a little bit of a nice texture, so I'm sticking with it. Okay, this was her way. And here I have some instant yeast. Okay, so that's going to go in as well. And I'm just going to mix these all together, all the dry. All right, so after that, what's left is the liquid. And I start with some nice Palestinian olive oil, okay? This is beautiful olive oil. And I just put in 2 circles, as you can see. And then the other liquid is obviously water. And this is just lukewarm water that I'm going to start mixing. Now you can see as it starts to hydrate the flour, it's all going to come together. And as soon as it does, then I will start to knead it with my hands, okay, which is the way I love to make bread. Of course, you can do it in a food processor or in a stand mixer that has an attachment for dough. Of course, you can do that. But I prefer mixing dough by hand, okay? So my hands are going to take over now. And basically, I'm just going to bring the dough together like this, okay? Just by using my hands. I mean, your hands are really the best tool in the kitchen, aren't they? Before there was food processors and before there was all kinds of gadgets to make our lives easier, the hands were always, you know, the most important tool. Now, I said 3 cups of flour were in here. I put an extra cup of flour here on the side to add if I needed it. Okay, and I think I used about 1/4 of it here. That's all I need. And then as soon as it's done, I take it out and put it on the board. Okay, you shouldn't skip this step. This is very important. Okay, this is the kneading of the dough, and this is the activation of the gluten. Okay, and how do you knead it? On a clean surface. Okay, you're basically pushing the dough away, folding it over itself, and then pushing it away again. You bring it over and out, over and out. And as you do this, you're making the texture of the bread, you're ensuring that it's going to have a nice little chew to it, okay? That's what the gluten's there for. And you're also kneading it because it needs to all come together. And you need to put in a little bit of muscle just by doing that. And as you can see, I'm not adding any more flour. It doesn't need it. It's just perfect. It's not even sticking in my hands. Okay, as I move, and I would do this for 5 minutes, okay? So don't skip this. And if you're using a stand mixer, you can just let it go for 5 minutes and it can knead this for you as it gets nice and soft, like that, okay? Then, in a clean bowl, I bring my dough and I place here, okay, the seam side down. And now I want this dough to rise, okay? So I have to leave it in a relatively warm place or a dark place, maybe in your cupboard, and then just with a clean towel cover it so that it doesn't get dry. And we're going to leave it to double in size, and that would mean about 1.5 to 2 hours. So after 2 hours, this is what the dough looks like when it has risen and doubled in size. All right, so I have my dough here that's risen. And I have a scale, and I like to use a scale because I want every bread that I make, every kaki, to be equal portion. It's a way of making them all exactly the same. So I aim for 150 grams. You can make it a little smaller if you like. Wow, that's 153. I can just take a little bit off and it'll be exactly, well, 149. There we go, 150, okay? So I just take the dough in my hand and just fold it inside itself, sort of like this, just to make a nice round, smooth ball. And then I place it in this particular proofing container. This is just a plastic container that has a lid. Now you could certainly just put it on a tray and cover it with a towel. That would work as well. So after my dough has rested for at least half an hour, it's going to be doubled in size now again. And I actually, on top of the container, I cover it with this cloth, tablecloth that my mother actually used to use. Everything she used to use to make bread, she always used this. So underneath is the container, and here's my dough, and it's nice and light and fluffy, and it has doubled, and I allowed it to rest, which is the key. Now I'm going to put a little bit of flour in my hand and on the board, okay, just so that it doesn't stick in my hand on the bottom. And then I'm going to start to shape this. Now, the Jerusalem bread has a very, very unique shape. And it starts first by you pinching it, just like you're about to create a donut. So you've made a hole. So right now at this stage, it looks like a donut. And then I'm going to feed my fingers through the hole, and I'm going to increase the size of this donut. And I'm doing it at the same time as I'm turning it. And while I'm doing it as well, I'm ensuring that the dough roll is going to be pretty much the same thickness throughout, okay? And that is the key. You don't want one side to be thin and the other side to be thick, okay? So by you using your hand and moving it around, okay, back and forth, and don't be afraid to be a little bit assertive with it, okay? It's not going to break. I mean, of course, if I pulled it, it will, but you're not going to, but you're going to use the elasticity that is now evident in the dough. Use it to your advantage and just move it around, shake it a bit, anything to get that classic Jerusalem bread shape, okay? So I lay it on a piece of parchment paper here, okay, ready to go. I want to show you the second or the third rising is just allowing these to rest. All right, so the shapes are still as they are. It didn't shrink very much. You can see just I'm able to pick them up. So they're light and solid, and they're not sticky. They're actually dried up a little bit on the top, which is exactly what I want. Now in this plate, I'm just adding a little bit of cream. This is what I like to use as glue, basically, for my sesame seeds to stick. Now, you could use an egg wash. That works as well. My mother used to use sometimes grape molasses. She used to brush that on the dough as well, and it gives it a little bit of sweetness. Is also lovely. You could also use water or milk, whatever you like, okay? But I happen to like cream. So what I do is I pick up my kaki, all right, and I'm going to dip in the side that was on the bottom. So very gently, I'm just going to let it go in for a little bath, okay, half a bath, not a full one. And then I'm going to dip it into copious amount of sesame seeds. So the sesame seeds here are not toasted. Make sure that they are raw sesame seeds, okay, because they are going to toast inside the oven. If you started off with roasted sesame seeds, then they're going to overcook and burn, and that's not very nice. So now I'm going to pick it up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it upside down so that the sesame seeds are on the top. So it's just a matter of doing that, and I'm going to put it right back in its place. So now these are ready to be baked. My oven has been preheating, and it's ready to go, 500 degrees Fahrenheit, about 250 Celsius. I've got my baking stone inside as well, a ceramic that's heated nice and hot. And now with my peel, my pizza peel, I'm just going to slide it right under and keep my bread on top of the parchment paper, so I don't actually have to remove it. Okay, and you can see it's not sticking, it's moving quite beautifully, and then on to the oven. All right, so my oven is piping hot, my stone is piping hot, and I'm just going to slide these in quickly, just like pizza. Okay, and let them bake. All right, well, here it is, piping hot. And those are the beautiful Jerusalem bread. I want to show it to you from the bottom, how nice, and you can even hear the crust, and that is thanks to that beautiful ceramic stone, of course, and the sesame seeds are on there. It's piping hot. I'm going to wait till it cools to eat it. There's nothing quite like this bread. This brings me back to a certain time and place in the kitchen of my mother, as always, when she used to make us this kind of bread and tell us the stories that are connected with the bread of Jerusalem when she was a young child, and she used to, you know, they used to go to Jerusalem to eat lovely things. Among them was this bread. And she used to make us live these moments at home by making them. Of course, the taste is not going to be exactly the same as the bread would have been in Jerusalem, in Palestine, but this is pretty darn close. Jerusalem bread, or ka'ak el-Quds, Qudsi bread, is finished. And they're all beautiful and soft and crispy on the outside. I'm going to show you one here, how easy it is to break. And I just want to show you the inside, how gorgeous it is. It's nice and fluffy on the inside, as you can see. All right, so what I've done here is I've made a big pot of beautiful mint tea. This is a classic Arabic breakfast, and specifically it has Palestinian notes today. I'm going to just add a little bit of beautiful, fresh, gorgeous Palestinian olive oil over the fool. This is fava beans that's been cooked, and with a little bit, there's a vinaigrette actually with a little bit of garlic and lemon juice, and so that would be something we'd eat for breakfast. Nabulsi cheese that I made, I just fried it in a little bit of clarified butter. I have some halawa. I have makdous. This is pickled eggplant that's been preserved in olive oil, and it's filled with walnuts. One day I'll make that. I'll make that for you, and you can see exactly how it's made. Olives, of course, lebani, which is the thickened yogurt, and tomatoes. And nothing says the Arab world, the quintessential dip of the Arab world, is zait, which is oil, or zait zaytun, olive oil, and za'atar. These two are our condiment of choice all the time, particularly with this bread. So just to show you how delicious this is, you just break off a nice little piece, dip it in a little bit of zait zaytun, or olive oil, and in the za'atar, and that's exactly how you would eat it. And then directly you would pour yourself a cup of tea, one for me and one for you. With the tea, the za'atar is delicious. Everything is delicious. So what I wanted to show you as well, in addition to making the beautiful Jerusalem ka'ak that I made, was exactly how we would eat it. Now, long ago, when I was young, my mother used to have this tradition in our house, and this particular tray that she used to call sidr, she brought with her from Palestine. It's a little crooked right now, but it's still in good shape. Every time, you know, we'd have a breakfast, or she'd, you know, cut us vegetables or dips or fruits, or having a cup of tea with cookies, she'd always put it on this, and we'd all gather around her. And I wanted to honor her by presenting breakfast like she would probably on a tray like this. This is how we eat breakfast. It's a little bit of everything, a feast for the eyes. So I hope you give my beautiful Jerusalem ka'ak, or the Jerusalem bread, a try, and tell me what you think, and hopefully you'll make it and have fun making it, and let me know how it turns out. And if you're wondering where the recipe is, and a lot of people ask me, it's always written in the text description of the video. It's always there. So if you look for it, you'll find it. Sometimes people have told me we just have to turn the phone horizontally and they'll be able to read it if you can't read it vertically. So it's there, and I look forward to hearing from all of you. Your comments always mean so much to me. So until then, with my Jerusalem bread in hand, I'm going to finish my breakfast and call my daughter because she's waiting to eat. And I will see you next time. Bye.